opinion? Is this a bullish open? What is your bias now at this open? Are you bullish or are you bearish on the market? Okay, very good. I've got some bulls, and there have been plenty of them in the market, so that sounds great. Now, let me tell you why our analysis tells us that that favors a bullish bias. First of all, we're opening above our weekly POC average. And that's easy to see. We've done the calculation. We're armed with that magic number, and we're already above the weekly POC average, which is definitely bullish. Now, is that it? No, absolutely not. There's more. Now, what else can we get from our analysis? Not only did we open above our weekly POC average, but we opened above the upper value of the prior session. Now, the green line that you see here is the upper value of the prior session. And so we're even above that. And so far, it looks like it's held in terms of support for us. So, depending on how aggressive you are as a trader, some traders, and I would be one of them, I would be inclined to go ahead and place a bullish trade, a long trade at this point. But others that are a little bit more cautious may want to wait a little bit more for more confirmation. Now, let me tell you why I would go ahead, and again, this is a judgment call, why I would be willing to place a trade, a long trade at this point. I've established the bullish bias, and I am going to place my stop. It's going to be a very tight stop right here at the upper value of the prior session. So I see it as a reasonably safe trade. I don't have a very wide stop. If I break and things go against me, I don't have that far to fall. All right, continuing right along with our bullish bias, I am going to enter a trade, but I am now not going to enter the trade right at this point. I want to wait for a little bit more confirmation. I want it to go up a little bit more and then to pull me in. And the reason I would do that is the rule that I like to use is you have 3 to 1, a ratio of 3 TPOs to 1. 1 below the open, and I have 3 TPOs above, and a very strong bullish bias. I might feel comfortable. If I had 4 TPOs above it, I also would feel even more comfortable. So that my ratio here is at about 1181.25, and I can't help myself. I'm going to enter at that point with a bullish trade, and we're going to watch together what happens with it. And remember, I placed my stop at 1180. All right. Now, the key elements of any trade, you decide on your entry and you use your judgment as to at what point you want to enter. And we've already made one of the 3 key pillars of a trade. You have to know, first of all, the entry price, pillar number 1. Pillar number 2, your stop, and we've decided on that. Pillar number 3 is really our targets. And I'm going to identify those with you. My first target would be at 1182.50, and very simply, it's the top value or top TPO of the prior session. So that is my first target for the trade. Now, I always use strategies for anything that I'm doing, and rarely do I have a trade with just a single target. My trades usually have multi-targets, and so this trade is not going to be any different. And again, this is where the analysis comes into play. I want my second target, and look where I'm going to pick my second target, the next POC above. It doesn't necessarily have to be from the prior day, but wherever that was, and target 2 from my big chart was 1186.50. So now I've identified target 1 and target 2. Now take a look. I'm going to get my target 3. I'm actually going to pick that from the rectangle that I had drawn around my candlesticks, and I'm looking at the top range that we've been moving in as my third target. And just in case the actual top of that range was somewhere around 1192, and being the cautious trader that I am, just in case we don't make it, I always give myself a little bit of latitude, and I'm not a very greedy person, so I don't have to quite make it to 1192. I thought 1190 would be a good point for my third target. And another reason I will add to you is because quite often at round numbers, the 10s and the 5s, we tend to get a little bit of resistance as we do support. So knowing that from experience, that's how I picked my third target. So now I have my complete 3 pillars for the trade. I have my stop, I have my entry, and I have my targets. Let's continue on and see how we use the profile to manage our trade as well. I use several different strategies in terms of my choices for trading, and one of them is what I call the 3-stage trade, because I have 3 different targets, and I may typically start with about 10 contracts, and at the first target, when I arrive at that target and I make it there, I sell 3 of my contracts and I move my stop to the point of entry. At this point, I am comfortable because I'm not going to lose in this trade. Once I hit and that's why I always pick a very reasonable and a very conservative first target. Now that if we have arrived at that first target and I'm in good shape and I've moved my stop to my entry, that's my break-even point, I am ready for the next target. Hopefully the trade will take me to the second target, and at that point, my midpoint, I sell 4 of my contracts. And as soon as that is accomplished, I also move the stop up to the first target. So now I know that I'm in a winning trade regardless of what happens. I'm beyond the break-even, and it allows me the endurance and the intestinal fortitude. And trust me, every trader struggles with those issues, especially when you trade with your own money. You want as much protection in place as you can, and I always sort of overcome the greed for the protection. My final exit, I will leave for the remaining contracts, which will be 3 left out of the 10 for my third target. Worst case scenario, if I never arrive at that third target, I will be taken out at this point at my first target, so I will have had a completely winning trade.